Good morning. I'm Malcolm Nance. Welcome to Black Man Spies, Day 33 WARCAST, update on the United States-Iran war. With me is my co-host today, Wajeeh, the gay lion, Saudi Arabian geopolitical analyst, and expert in Middle Eastern headwear. Today you're just wearing you're just tossing on a kufiya. I have a lot of headwear today. I promise that I will go get it out of my man cave, and we'll have a headwear off. I got one you will never match. You will never match, and I'm not even going to tell you. It's one Saddam Hussein wore. So we'll see about that. So I'm just telling you. You'll never be able to beat me in the obscure headwear department. Although I got to tell you, what did you call that? The kubas?
Your
that you
voice
wore
is rubber
yesterday?
banding a little bit.
Ah, it is. Okay. You know what? I'm going to come off. Let's just wait for a moment. I'm going to come off of my Wi-Fi has not been the best. We had thunderstorms yesterday. And a moment. Let me know if it improves. Is it better? All right. What is that? American Embassy? I can't read it. So anyway, we'll get to coffee cups in a minute. Have I
That is
improved?
the American Embassy in Riyadh. Yeah. Riyadh, baby.
Okay, good.
You're still rubber banding for some reason.
So, good morning. We're going to try to limit this to an hour today. We've been really going over.
Yeah,
I have Stephanie
your
Miller
video
on
is cutting
Sirius
off
XM
too.
satellite radio at 10:30. And then after that, I'm doing the Black Man Spy podcast where we're interviewing a U.S. congressman from Northern Virginia to talk about the war and the effects of the war. But that first, Wajeeh. Okay, now you showed me your coffee cup. I have to show you mine. Please tell the audience what your coffee cup was again. What was your coffee cup?
Can you guys hear? And can you guys hear Malcolm?
I hear you now.
Can you guys see Malcolm?
You're going. Yeah, you're going in and out.
I don't see you, and I can't hear you. I might
Everyone
just close
says
the
they
app
can
and
see
come
me.
back
You
on.
want to
Hold on.
recycle and come back.
Yep.
I'll send you an invite. Close it. There you go. Well, technology isn't perfect, right? And where I was, we had insane thunderstorms last night. Just really crazy. The dogs went nuts. So Wajeeh will come back and we'll do the important things like discuss which coffee cups we have. But if you're watching this on YouTube, that means you're watching this. This is pre-recorded. Right now, it's going out live on Substack. Join Substack at malcolmnance.substack.com. You can follow Wajeeh Lion on Substack.com. And if you subscribe to us, this is free. You can watch it live. Or for those of you who need it later in the day, watch it later. But I still answer questions on YouTube. So if you have questions, you can put them up there. Wow, somebody says they're expecting ice storms. Yeah, we had those in Canada a couple of weeks ago. They were nuts. So Wajeeh, I can hear noise in your background. Shit, you're not doing good.
I'm still having
I hear your audio. Oh,
I don't know what's wrong.
No, we hear you now.
Devices. I can't hear you or see you.
You can't hear me?
Wow,
you're crazy.
I can't hear you or see you. Like you're cutting off and rubber banding the whole time for me.
Okay. Well, I'm on my ultimate 5G. It seems to be doing okay. You are having issues. So you're being jammed by ice because you are in Minneapolis. So they don't like that. Oh, although now it's saying my internet is unstable. All right. We'll invite Wajeeh back and somebody said, "Oh, that's nice." Somebody said I was a lot more positive on Al Jazeera yesterday. Let's see if we can get Wajeeh back here and then do the important things like talk about our headgear and coffee cups. So let's see if he responds. So, in answer to the question of what my coffee cup is this morning, every year I take a 2-week trip to England. I'm a member of the Friends of Bletchley Park Society. As you know, that's like the home of code breaking. I even have a brick with our family's name on it at Bletchley Park. And every year I go, and the last time I went, I picked up one of these Prince Charles, now King Charles, uh, a coronation cups, and this is one that I keep nearby, and it's so worn down. I've already drank off most of the gold filigree on it. So that's what I have for coffee cups. We will find out what Wajeeh has for coffee cups. But very interesting. You should always have interesting coffee cups. And someday, for paid subscribers, I'll do it. People have asked me numerous times for a tour of this room. This is my writing office. I can afford a writing office. Let me tell you, as I explain to people, spend a lot of time on ships and submarines with copies of Architectural Digest, and you'll want a really nice office, right? And then I have a man cave where I have I have just so much stuff for my career. It's literally stacked up all over the place. It's also, a place where I can sit and read and do things like that. Yes, it has a leather chair. So we'll wait for Wajeeh to come back. But in the meantime, I'm going to get us going ahead because we want to start. Some people have very short amount of time. So we're going to start with the Al Jazeera live tracker for casualties. As for, some of you may have known, somebody asked a question. I was on Al Jazeera yesterday for a pretty long segment for about 5 minutes, which is like a lifetime in television, right? So I gave them some insights, which they didn't know that I had spent a lot of time in the Gulf, had lived in Abu Dhabi, and had fought the Iranians numerous times in the Arabian Gulf. So let's see if we can get a live update right now. Still not live updates. Uh, right now, the casualty count, I can tell you if you were watching yesterday, the casualty count has only gone up by 2. One person was killed in the United Arab Emirates by falling debris. I believe it fell on Ajman after it was intercepted. It killed a Bangladeshi citizen. And another person was killed in Kuwait. We will get around to those attacks and the significant impacts that are there. As far as I can tell, the Iranian numbers have not been updated, and which stood at 1,937, and none have been reported in Israel, although Israel was attacked significantly. Just in the last hour alone, there was another 2 attacks. So with that, we're going to go by that and move on to the price of oil. This is the first time that we have really fought a war over oil. Real, like, possession of oil, seizure of oil, price of oil. Today, surprisingly, because there was a 5-point peace plan introduced by Pakistan, and Wall Street Journal reporting, which we discussed yesterday, where Donald Trump said that he may, in fact, drop out of this war no matter what and not have the Strait of Hormuz no matter what. The price of oil went down. We had West Texas Intermediate. I can hear you, Wajeeh. I can hear you, whatever's playing in your background.
No, it's fixed now, right? Perfect.
All right. Yeah, you're good. You're good. So we're on the price of oil. West Texas Intermediate has gone down from a high of 101 yesterday, down $2.56 to $98.88. That's still high. Okay. It was in the 80s the last time Trump did this "I'm going to sue for peace" trick. It dropped down into the high 80s, up from the 67 we started this war at, still pretty high. Brent North Sea crude also fell from the high yesterday of 114 down to $101.70 today. And Marban crude 104, that's one of the local spot crudes, is at 104. The spot price for physical oil out there is probably in the 120s if these have dropped down there. So oil is still high, but it is being affected. I saw a great Wajeeh. Do you got any comments about that? What did you do? Are you selling oil off, Wajeeh? Is that why the price is crashing?
You know what? If I could, I would at this point. The price of oil is uncontrollable, especially that the world knows that Houthi is about to close Bab al Mandab, especially that they have done that
Maybe.
few you they have already done that in the past. And they have showed the world that they are capable of doing that when Israel started the bombardment and during the war in Gaza. At some point they for the blockade that Israel had, the Houthis were like, okay, we'll close Bab al Mandab for you. And the world was stopped. Also, Bab al Mandab is one of the most contested uh, water spaces in the world and one of
Yeah.
the most shallow water spaces in the world. And where where you would have a few hundred ships passing through Bab al Mandab, you could have a quarter of that pass through the Strait of Hormuz. You could have hundreds of ships, but through Bab al Mandab, you could have a quarter of these ships pass. So like you already, yeah, it's like it's slower, but even then, you there are more important things that pass through there, which is oil. And yeah, the global market understands that their oil supply is in danger.
Yep. Well, important to know. And that's why the price of oil is fluctuating. Let's go to significant acts. Yesterday, I completely forgot a major significant act. I watched it develop throughout the day. And this morning, we're finally getting imagery from that. I will show you this photograph. This is the United Arab Emirates. And we've talked about the Habshan Fujairah oil pipeline that was built to bypass the Strait of Hormuz. Uh, a few weeks ago, it was attacked. It went back into pumping. And yesterday, it was struck twice at the Habshan pumping station, which is bringing the oil from this area out here, out near Liwa and the Abu Dhabi desert near Ruwais, down in this area. That is a major, it's all you see when you go down there is oil pipelines and oil flares off the natural gas fields. You don't see nothing else out there. And then that's where the big sand dunes are, where you can go drive your car. So this pipeline goes all the way from Habshan, crosses the country. There is a intermediate pumping station. You see, it says Hajar Mountains. You have to pump it because it goes up the side of the mountains, follows the mountain, comes down into Fujairah over here, right? This was designed to be a bypass in case the Strait of Hormuz was closed. It has been pumping, and the Iranians know it. They struck it yesterday, early yesterday, setting fire to the main pump station in Habshan and the intermediate pump station in Fujairah, right? So that too has had a significant impact on the price of oil, but not as bad as we would like to think. What do you say? I'm going to show you the pictures of the pipeline on fire, which came out this morning. Here you go. No, that's Fujairah. This is a video of the fire at the Habshan pumping station in the
I
desert.
wonder if that fire is still going on.
It probably is. I know in Qatar, it took 52 hours. No, Kuwait, it took 52 hours to
That's
put out
right.
the airport fire. This is coming from the pumps. It is not, the oil is not the problem here. You can burn oil, oil comes out of the ground, everybody gets rich. It's the pumps themselves that regulate the control of oil put pressure on the pipeline and pushes it through the pipeline so that there's always steady pressure on the pipeline. That is how an oil pipeline is made, right? It's really the
The
pressure.
after the first Gulf War, when Iraq invaded Kuwait, the fires that from the oil field took years to put out. Not like for some of them months, but for other big ones, it took a year. And oil fire takes a long time to shut off.
Tell me
Like
about it. Let me tell
we've
you
been
about it.
there.
I lived in Kuwait during Desert Storm. I lived under that smoke cloud for a month. I did not see sunlight for 3 weeks, and I had to drive 50 kilometers under that cloud. It was nighttime, midnight, all the time under under the under that smoke cloud, right? So
Yeah.
it's terrible. Okay, in other news, significant activities. Iran has struck a oil tanker northeast, 30 kilometers northeast of Doha, Qatar. They struck a tanker with, I'm trying to decide what it got hit with because there are two stories. One is that it was hit and had an explosion by, they call an unknown projectile, as they said, on the port side, causing water damage to the waterline above the hull. Another report says there is a second explosive that hit the strip ship and did not detonate and is in its engine room. So it's possible it could have been hit by a drone first, then an unmanned surface vehicle or an unmanned torpedo and put that out into there, right? So that's a possibility. So we have another oil tanker struck. I believe that the Iranian strategy is very simple. Just take a tanker a day to keep the insurance companies away. And it's as simple as that. Right? You just hit that one tanker a day or one tanker every couple of days, and um, people don't
It-
know what you're doing, right? You just don't waste any of your missiles. Actually, the
we
initial report on this was, I remember now, I have it written down here under the Iranian section. The initial report on this is that it was a cruise missile that hit this, although some people may have called, Sarukh Musayra, right? An unguided missile or a guided
yes.
missile is what people also call a drone. But the Qataris are reporting they shot down two other cruise missiles. So it could have been a cruise missile. But they're putting out one a day, right, to keep the tanker insurance companies away. So
But
that's that.
we've been very lucky that we haven't had a natural disaster yet because of these tankers.
Yeah, that's
Very
coming.
lucky.
We're overdue. We are really overdue. If the fighting really starts in earnest, if Trump announces something crazy, or we start taking islands thinking we can do them quickly, then you're going to see real natural disasters. Like they hit those tankers off of Yemen and they
Yeah.
spilled like their entire contents of urea, right? Which poisoned the entire seashore of Yemen, which depends on fishing. Very important to understand. All right. The United States and Israel continues its attacks. The Israelis claim that they carried out uh, 24 major attacks in Iran yesterday on infrastructure. They did not strike any power plants or petrochemical plants. They said they did strike an engineering facility and ballistic missile assembly, which means that Israel seems to have been put back on track by the United States into striking things of significance. On the Iranian side, this is the Patelco telephone company, Bahrain Telephone Company, major hub in Bahrain, was struck by cruise missiles. It hosts Amazon's web services and it was set fire to. We don't know what kind of disruption it's going to have, right? But you saw early in the war, they hit an Amazon facility early on in the war and that actually screwed with pricing in the United States and Canada around the world because they share all these data centers. And as we recall, the Iranians said that they were going to hit. What is the new places that they said they were going to hit? That was yesterday. The Iranians made an announcement that they would hit,
U.S. Companies.
yeah, U.S. companies, their
And
headquarters and facilities. Here it is. Duh, duh, duh. These 18 companies, Iran says they are going to strike, right, for supporting this war. Hewlett
mhm,
Packard, IBM, Dell, G42. That's actually, I think that's Group 4 Securitas. Intel, Meta, which is Microsoft, Tesla. I have no problem with that. Cisco, Apple, NVIDIA, Oracle, Boeing, Google, Palantir, Microsoft, JP Morgan, Spire Solutions, General Electric. These companies all have hubs and service facilities in these countries supporting the war. And Iran has said, we're going to put them on the chopping block, right? So this is a good comment by Mario Noifel yesterday. Iran oil prices dropped 5% in 3 minutes just after Iran signaled it was ready to end the war if it had security guarantees that the United States would not be allowed to attack it again. So there you go. So as you can see, the economic war continues. Let's talk about the U.S. and deployments. This is a photograph of a bunch of 18 U.S. Air Force A-10 Warthog strike aircraft have landed in England and are on their way to the Middle East. Here's another picture of them at RAF Lakenheath. That's a lot of strike aircraft. That's a lot of close
mhm.
quarter aircraft. Those aircraft are for ground attack only. That's all they do, right? They fly down, they got a giant cannon on the front, they carry 1 million rockets and bombs, and their job is to support ground attack. I suspect that this is in support of an operation on Karg Island or in support of an operation over Iran and the southern Strait of Hormuz. We had already heard A-10s were patrolling the Strait of Hormuz, along with AH-64 Apaches from the Emirati and U.S. Army. I have heard zero reports that they have seen a small boat, much less attacked a small boat. So I don't know about the efficacy of this, but I'm sure they're not just flying into the middle of Iran, right? They have very short legs, and they are very hard to go on with. Okay, we will show this video of Donald Trump later. All right, next, we also have the deployment of two EC-37 Compass Call aircraft. I discussed the Compass Call aircraft the other day, that there were two EC-130 aircraft. These are highly specialized electronic warfare aircraft that do one thing. We usually deploy two of them to keep 24-hour watch. They can seize your television broadcast, jam them, and introduce television, radio, broadcasts into your country. So it can do psychological operations by taking off your TV channels and broadcasting what we want broadcast there. As you know, when the E-3 Sentry was damaged the other day in Prince Sultan Air Base, PSAB, multiple other aircraft were damaged, including both of the EC-130 Hercules Compass Call aircraft. And I'm going to show you the EC-37 is a smaller aircraft that can do the same thing. It has more modern, up-to-date electronics, and they have been deployed 2 days ago. They left their base in the United States. They are based on a executive jet, and you see these side panels there are designed to uh, jam and transmit. Because we damaged the EC-130 aircraft from the ballistic missile attack, and let me tell you, If those things have to be repaired, it's going to be insanely expensive. They are also in the $300 million range in terms of operating, and the EC-130 is bigger than the EC-37. So, here's the here's the EC-130. I'll bring that up in a second. And it's just important for you to visualize these aircraft. But these things jam, seize, transmit what they want, right? They can
The
jam command posts, but they can also send false messages. They can also send false media. And that's what we generally use them for. Two of these were damaged, and these are our first call aircraft. Now we're having to send the two planes that are brand new. Yes, Wajeeh.
the spy airplane that Iran hit the other day using Russian help with precise precision um, actually cost us $800 million, almost
Actually,
$1 billion.
I think it means 800 million to replace because we stopped producing these aircraft. The E3 Sentry. Here's what it looked like before the attack, right? You'll see it in a second. It has a giant dome on the top. All right. And to create them was somewhere, it says in 2026, $537 million to build it. But since the assembly line is down, to replace it, you're going to have to replace it with another aircraft that is a third more expensive. That radome on the top circles around, and it's a giant radar, and it can see hundreds upon hundreds of miles, and it can command aircraft, tankers. It's literally a flying command post. That is not a spy plane, by the way. That's a flying command post. The aircraft that we suspect Iran may have damaged very early in the war was the attack on Cyprus.
It was the first attack on a European territory from Iran.
Yep. And I know this very well because I have a model of it over my shoulder. This is the U-2 spy plane that was sitting, that we don't know the status of it. It it is a very long plane. It was designed in the 1960s. It has been modified, highly modified. You can see it here. They fly out of RAF Akrotiri. And that's all I'm going to say about it. It's the U-2R, or as we call it now, the TR-1 spy plane. And it carries out a series of activities. I ain't going to say much about it. All I know is that there is a model of it in my office for some strange reason, right? So,
Let me
I
ask
don't.
you this. Was that the same spy plane that discovered the missiles in Cuba and during the Cold
Yes.
War?
Yes, but it's so good at loitering. That aircraft loiters on the edge of space. The pilots who are in it are dressed. I mean, they wear full astronaut kit, right? And they fly up there for 12 hours or more, right? And will let the sensors do whatever it is that the sensors do, right? And it is an insanely expensive aircraft. How expensive, Malcolm? There's no budget. No one's going to ever tell you how much a U-2 TR-1 will cost to maintain. And they are very, very, they're not just difficult to fly, right? They're just hard air. I mean, they're very specialized aircraft. They have like little wheels that have to hold up the wingtips to fly, to
Special
take off.
cameras to
And
take
when
pictures.
they yeah, and when they land, well, it's more than cameras. When they land, you actually have these Ford, like, supercharged, what are they? These supercharged, like, police-style cars that go out and catch the wingtips. It is just something else, to see these aircraft flying out there. But, as a matter of fact, here is a video of a TR-1 in flight that you can see. as it's
Got me
approaching to land.
scared.
But the one that Gary Francis Powers flew and was shot down in over Russia in 1960, right? That was just slick. We called it slick. All it had inside was a camera pod on the underside. And it was flying out of Turkey into or over Russia. And the Russians developed the SA-2 guideline missile, which we've used attacked us in Vietnam everywhere, and shot it down because the SA-2 could go very far, very high and into altitude. And these fly at 60,000 plus feet. And in Vietnam, the SA-2 was developed for this airplane, uh, and they called it the flying telephone pole because it was so long to have to get up to 60,000 feet to shoot down a U-2. So we don't know the status of that, but we saw a plane go right through the middle of the hangar. Whoops. Hopefully it was on mission and all he did was damage the hangar. Okay, other deployments. CBS News reports that U.S. commanders requested of the Pentagon or submitted to the Pentagon their plan to handle, this is an interesting intelligence indicator, to handle hundreds, if not thousands, of captured Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps members and soldiers. So there you go. Oh, somebody says, I hope you guys, can you hear me, Wajeeh? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay. So that is interesting because that means if we're going on the ground, we capture people, we're not just going to shoot them and dump them into a pit. We send them back and process them for intelligence, and they have to go somewhere. And at this point, my guess would be Kuwait, because you don't want to, there's the 5 S's, right, of handling prisoners. You have to secure, silence, speed, safeguard, and what's the word for interrogate? Well, there's an S word for interrogate. Sorry, I was a prisoner handler during Desert Storm, and then when I was at SEER school, I interrogated students, including Greg Kelly of Fox News. Actually, I think he's at Newsmax now. He's a Marine Corps pilot, and that guy brought me in for an interview one day, and it turned out I was the water board chief for Greg Kelly, so he does not like me. But he was a Marine pilot at the time I was at SEER school. So I will get the 5 S's for you.
Let me ask
That
you
being
this:
said,
Are they gonna take them to Guantanamo?
hell no, because one, that's a very long plane ride. You don't want a long plane ride. You want a short plane ride. You want to take them somewhere in the region where they can be repatriated. I'll tell you where they're not going. They're not going to take them to Iraq. The Heshid Shabi will come down and break them out of prison. As a matter of fact, we have a significant Iranian attack that we have to talk about that was carried out by the Heshid Shabi. Okay, so that's it for U.S. deployments. A-10 Warthog, AC-37 Compass Call, jammer aircraft. They want new prison camps, which tells us that if we are not going to invade Iran, they are putting in all the resources just in case, right? So, next, on the Iranian side, significant attacks. One, Israel has been hit with 4 ballistic missiles in the last 24 hours. That's my count. Daniel Demendenberg, if you're watching, hey, let me know if that's the right count of missiles. I was counting them, watching Al Jazeera, and just as we came on, a 4th missile hit. They've been using cluster warheads on Israel. This is now pure harassment. They
I was
really,
gonna
really.
mention that.
Go ahead, mention it.
Because the one single missile that a cluster bomb has about another 100 bombs in it. And the reason it's very hard to deal with these is because when we throw one anti-missile and that anti-missile doesn't reach in time to hit all of those 100 missiles, y'all are screwed. Everyone under that is screwed. And each of those missiles is enough to take out a car, enough to take out a building, enough to take out a wall. And you know what? That's many people that will hit civilians. It's kind of giving Israel a little bit of its own poison because Israel hasn't signed the cluster bomb treaty. The United States hasn't signed the cluster bomb treaty, and Iran hasn't signed the cluster bomb treaty. Those only three countries that are all in the war have not got signed, and they're all using it. But guess what? The ones have the most to lose are the Israelis.
Hmm. Well, yesterday, very interesting. The Institute for the Study of War did an assessment. They said that only 3 missiles have been fired since their cutoff at 2 p.m. Eastern. That's yesterday. This morning, they also were hit with missiles, but they said Israel is now receiving the lowest barrage rate of Iranian missiles, but they do have the highest penetration rate because they are using these custom kind of thing. Oh, somebody just corrected me. Meta, which I talked about earlier, is not Microsoft. It's Facebook. Thank you. I really needed that. Okay. So 4 ballistic missiles at least at Israel. Dan, if you've got a higher number, let me know. The Iranians bombarded Kuwait International Airport again. They are specifically targeting the fuel dumps. They let the Kuwaitis spend 54 hours putting that fire out, then hit it again at the fuel containers that did not burn up. So they are really, their intelligence to strike cycle is very good, right? Collect the information, whether it's from people on the ground, somebody making a phone call, Russian intelligence, watching the heat signature off of the U.S. Forest Service system. But they are looking at what's not there. They may even be flying drones over there. um that allows them to go, hey, target number 2, right, north side, Kuwait International Airport fuel dump, put one on it, right, and they'd be like, there, up goes the little Shahed drone, right, it takes like an hour to fly over there. Now, interestingly, it has been reported, and I have not gotten a full verification on it, that the missile that hit the airport today came from the Hashid Shabi of Iraq. That
Yes.
Iraqi militias may have launched this Shahed drone at Kuwait. Remember, we have said that if Iraq gets involved in this war, it's going to be on the side of Iran,
Mhm.
right? I don't mean the Iraqi army. I mean the Iraqi militias that pretty much run that country right now. Okay. La 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 la. Oh, we got talked about the tanker off of Doha in Erbil. Let me show you where that is. That's Erbil, Iraq, is in northern Iraq. I've been there. I thought, man, Erbil is like super safe because now they have like mega hotels. They have a Rotana up there. They have like a Hyatt Regency. I'm sure there's a Taj there by now, right? Something super shishi for American defense contractors and U.S. Special Forces soldiers to stay at, right? So
Did
let's
you?
take a look at that. Erbil was struck yesterday. The Baker Hudson Oil Company, which is supporting the Iraqi Kurds in their oil exploration up there, its oil storage facilities, which mainly does a lot of motor oil and diesel, was struck yesterday by drones from Iran. So that's in support, and the funny thing is, it's very hard to tell. The only way you can tell it's from Iran is if it comes from the east. If it comes, or the north. If it comes from the south or the southwest or the west, it's the Heshid Shabi. It's Irani. It's Iraqi back guerrillas who were there. Other countries, other places that were struck over the night was United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and we talked about the tech giants. We talked yesterday that Yemen fired count them, one ballistic missile towards Israel yesterday, just to remind them that they have more than two. Okay, it's true. It's true. Halas, it's true. So let me bring up the map of Erbil here so that we can. Erbil is in northern Iraq, and and it's important that you know how far away it is from the war, right? So here we are. Here's the Persian Gulf down here. Here's Kuwait, right where my pointer is swirling around. all the way up Highway 8 through Baghdad, continue on all the way up here, across Kurdistan border, and you're in the city of Erbil. There are two cities in Kurdistan. There's Erbil and Sulaymaniyah. And then there's a bunch of villages. Shamshama, that's nice. No. Okay. Kirkuk is your last Arab city here. And then you cross the line of departure. The Kurds have this walled off. And then the city of Erbil was struck by drones, which could come from, if you see where Suleimania, here's Marivan. Marivan right here down in the lower corner where I'm pointing, if you can see that pointer. This here is all Iran. Marivan, Suleimania are almost side by side. You can drive over 15, 20 minutes. And Erbil is where the headquarters of the government is there. Right? So the war is not just way down here in the Arabian Gulf or the Persian Gulf, whichever one you want to call it. I use it interchangeably. Right? So that being said, Gulf states, we're going to talk politics now. So in the Gulf states reporting, the political writer Shoshank Joshi was very good, well sourced, says the United Arab Emirates is coming off as the most militant of the
Mm-hmm.
Gulf state countries, and that they are waiting to join the war with the United States. Now, I've been saying this for almost a month now. I think I've said it every day for a month now. This is about 3 islands. And the problem is, if the Emiratis and the United States invade these 3 islands, Iran will view it as a ground war.
Yes.
Right? And they will take a very dim view of this. And those islands are Greater Tomb, Lesser Tomb, Abu Musa Island. I haven't been on them, but I have been all around these islands. I'm going to show you this right now. Here they are. The way to think about them is they are under the tail of the shark, right?
Yeah.
Here's the tail of the shark. Here's Kishem Island, the one that's shaped like a shark. Here, look under the tail of the shark, Greater Tomb, which is a giant IRCGC base, Lesser Tomb, which is like a tiny little atoll, and Abu Musa Island. Emirates wants those back. They were taken by the Shah of Iran in 1971. And if they jump in, that's what they're going to want. And the only way that you're going to be able to tell is if, I got to tell you, there are some things you can and cannot hide. If the United Arab Emirates amphibious assault ships down in Abu Dhabi start moving places, then you know where they're going. As you can see, Abu Musa has an airstrip right down the middle of it. There's a tiny harbor here, right? Here's the airport, is the entire length of that island. Here's the tiny village of Abu Musa here. It's an IRGC headquarters. We have been striking this island and Greater Tomb Island at IRGC positions and sinking their small boats, right? This would actually be very easy, a very easy operation to land United Arab Emirates Special Forces. Full disclosure, when I lived in Abu Dhabi, I worked with, what do they call them? UAE SOC or UASOC, which is, well, I won't tell you where they're headquartered. But anyway, they
Oh,
have a pretty capable force.
what's the percentage of the U.S. UAE military that are foreign soldiers? Do you know?
Very little. Very
Okay.
little. The Emirati army is not a mercenary army. To be in
The
the Emirati army, you got to be an Emirati. So, and they got a
that
lot of
changed.
they got some. Oh yeah, back in the old days, they had everybody was mercenaries. The only mercenary troops in the country are the security guards on the palaces. They're all from Colombia, and that was a deal made by Eric Prince 10 years ago when I lived in Abu Dhabi. I actually have a copy of that contract because they tried to recruit me into that little cabal of theirs and the Critical Infrastructure Security Agency with all these ex-NSA people that were spying on Americans using Israeli software. So interesting. Let's take a look
According
at Greater Toomb Island has an airport also. It's bigger than Abu Musa. You can see the airport and the island. Runs north-south. We have been bombing that port. We've been bombing our GC facilities. We have not touched the runway on either of those bases. This place is a good candidate for a UAE, combined UAE, U.S. Marine Corps amphibious landing. Easy. They could easily take those islands. Now, you're going to have to stay there when the drones come, but you could take it. Lesser Tomb, you have to take because even though it's a spit, right? It's a small atoll. There's no airport on it. There's only the IRGC boat harbor that's on here. There's supposed to be bunkers on all of these things. We can go down and do a zoom in. These are revetments. You can see this right here. These things right here, these are defensive revetments for probably anti-aircraft. This right here, see that? That's a tunnel entrance in. This is a drive-through shelter. Either it's designed to drive through and sit under, but if they're going to do that, they're going to go inside, drive out, come up onto the launch pad. So that would be a surface-to-air missile launch pad or a cruise missile launch pad. We're blasting anything that looks like concrete on these islands, right? So Greater Tomb, Lesser Tomb, Abu Musa, in the course of a day, they could take that back and reverse the Shah of Iran's thing. The problem is no civilians will ever be able to move back there and live peacefully and fish because the Iranians, the minute this war is over and the Americans leave, they will come back and they will land on that island and take it. Or they'll cut a deal with the Emiratis. They were like, yeah, you can have it back. All right.
You know that
But
as of this morning, the Emiratis stopped considering the war and now are preparing for the war. I wanted to add that to what you were saying.
well,
That
this is it. That they are waiting to join the United States forces. All I'm going to say is this, and I said this on Mario No-Fall. I know there's a lot of, non-professional naysayers out there, people who are not in this community, but I am. Okay, I have been looking at this for 40 years. Spent 2 decades in that region, in and around these islands. I fought the Iranian Navy. I'm going to say that every time I talk to you because a lot of people out there. Well, this guy has a PhD from the University of blah blah blah. I have a PhD, and they almost killed my ass those islands. Right by 150 feet, they missed my ship. Only because our technology was slightly better, and we had a third-class petty officer who was on the ball that moved our ship out of the way of this missile. These things are based on luck and some skill, but luck plays a lot of it. There are a lot of things that can happen up there. So that being said, we need to move on to the most important component part of this show, stupid shit Trump said. For those of you who don't know, Donald Trump announced yesterday that he will be making a presidential Oval Office announcement tonight. And I'm going to tell you, there's a reason that he's doing this. Because the price of oil and the part that we're getting to in terms of this war is very close to breaking the global economic order. And I mean, everything shut down. No fertilizer get out, no nothing get out. No oils get out. Petrochemicals stop. People stop making advanced electronics that need the helium. Medicines, the generic medicine market in the world collapses. Oil production collapses. This is all on top of the fact that Europe and NATO said that they don't want to participate in this war. As a matter of fact, I have a cute little cartoon for you about everything you said in this saw in this cartoon. Everything you see in this cartoon has been said in the last 24 hours. And then Donald Trump has decided he's going to make an Oval Office announcement. He did ask NATO to come in and bring ships in and to clear the place. And it's your oil. If you want that oil, well, we're not going to do it. You do it. And then he has openly asked Middle Eastern countries whose economies he has savaged. Let's be honest, trillions of dollars. I'm sure once it's all done, it will be in the tens of trillions of dollars of value and
Well, the
material.
Pentagon today just asked for another 200 billion.
Another one on top of the first 200?
Yeah, they just asked for another 200 this morning or something.
They're on crack. Okay. Trillions of dollars have been lost. And Trump said he wants Gulf states to pay for the U.S. war, to pay U.S. military operations that devastated their country because he destroyed Iran. This is madness. So Trump is supposed to be making his statement tonight. What time is it? I think 9 p.m. Eastern. I will look it up right now. And that leads me to announce that I will be doing a special paid subscriber at 6 p.m. Eastern time tonight. It is absolutely going to happen because only two things can come out of this. So first, let me look up Trump Oval Office address. I don't know why I didn't write this down. 9 p.m. Eastern. 9 p.m. Eastern. That's prime time. Trump will make an Oval Office address. For once, I'm going to watch it. Usually I don't. I don't watch him at all. They're usually him spouting gibberish. But that leads me to why I'm doing a 6 o'clock tonight. All right. As soon as I'm done this broadcast, I will send out the invitation for paid subscribers. Please become a paid subscriber. Watch what I have to say because it is highly detailed. It is nothing that I've said here before. I am not going to write an article on this. I'm going to open it up and leave it out for paid subscribers. Somebody says U2 was 1953. Is that when it was designed? Awesome. I am going to do a paid subscriber tonight called Taco and Tactics: How We Will Invade Iran or Go Home. Those are the only options we have here. Trump will always chicken out, which is what we call taco. Trump always chickens out, or he is going to ramp this up so hard, and it's been guaranteed by Pete Hegseth and General Kane, that they can take all of those islands quickly and hold them for a couple of weeks and claim that the Gulf Islands are open and that he just wants to take card for a few days. Or he could go apocalyptic and decide we're going to invade Iran with the parachute forces and take the nuclear weapons, and they can get that in a couple of weeks and get out by the end of his own self-imposed 2-week deadline, which will see this podcast go crazy. So tonight, 6 o'clock Eastern, I will send that reminder out as soon as I'm done here. It's for paid subscribers only because, we have almost 5,000 people who really, you can interact with me. You can ask questions. You can even ask to come on video. If I know who you are, some of you like Ru Rizuki and some of our bigger long-term subscribers out there. And we can bring you up as an invited person and hear what you have to say. But I'm going to tell you here's what I'm going to lay out tonight. Each scenario: the Strait of Hormuz Islands, Abu Musa Tumb, right? Then Karg Island, and then a jump into Iran to take either the nuclear materials or to take the bunkers at the Yazid ballistic missile complex. I'm going to tell you tonight exactly what you are going to see before this happens, and exactly how it's going to happen. Because I was listening today, my good friend Ian Bremmer from the Eurasia Institute, wonderful guy, super rich, runs an incredible think tank, just doesn't really know anything about how this is done. We are not going to parachute forces onto Karg Island. You can't. It's only 8 kilometers long, and 4 kilometers of that is oil facility. Your parachutes can't get down there. So you're going to fly on, right? But who's going to fly? What are the first things we're going to see? I'm going to tell you the first thing we're going to see if it's Karg Island. You're going to hear a report that there is shooting and fighting in the Northern Arabian Gulf, shooting and fighting in the Northern Arabian Gulf, and that fighting is happening first at the gas oil platform near the Forzan oil field and a tiny, tiny little island that I have been on called Farsi Island. And if you guys want to, you can go on Google Earth, see Farsi Island. It's about 100 kilometers southwest of Kaarsbo Island. Nowhere near it, but we got to take Farsi Island before you can even think about going to Kaarsbo. Whoa, I'm getting reports here that people want me to change the time to 7:30 p.m. Wajeeh, what do you think? Are you available?
For you, absolutely, my friend.
Because they're saying we should do this in advance of the president's speech.
Before the
Vote.
speech, huh?
Let's take a vote. If for those of you who can make comments, just say, should you want to see it at 7:30 to 8:30? And then we can all watch the crazy speech together? That would be hot. Maybe
My
we'll do two
calendar is
separate
open at the moment.
lives. 8 o'clock is what whoa, 7:30. We'll get a vote, but you will see it. Watch your emails tonight, after I'm done this, because what we're getting is we're getting people who are asking for this to be changed so it's closer to the president's speech. And again, it's going to go only in one of two directions. Trump is going to chicken out and declare war is one and walk away from this, or he is going to ramp this up and the military operation for Kaarsbo Island is already underway. I have some doubts about that, but we're going to talk about that tonight. Wajeeh, what do you think?
I I was looking if you could actually do a questionnaire on your message chat, but I haven't found that yet. There's a way where we could ask people to give us time, but I will look into that
Well,
and give you.
right now, my
Oh,
assistant is getting them. People are putting up their comments.
perfect.
I'm really thinking more like 7, because Trump's speech starts at 8. So either we can do a special and of the tactics or the taco, and then we can all do a live watch of Trump's speech. What do you think? That'll be a 2-hour special,
That's
8
fine
to
with me.
10.
That's fine with me.
All right, let's call it that. Boom. We're going to do it at 8 o'clock tonight. First, we're going to have the discussion about what Trump's going to do, right? Taco or tactics. And then we are going to live watch Trump's statement, and then we can all make fun of it. And those of you who are paid subscribers, you can comment with me, you can interact with me. I may invite some of you to come up, and we will have a grand time of this, because the fact that it's happening at 9 o'clock already leads me to believe something's going on. So, um, what? Somebody said Qatar wants their luxury jet back? I don't think so. Let's go to the last few comments. I have to go to the Stephanie Miller radio show here shortly. If you guys aren't listening to that, that's Stephanie Miller on Sirius XM radio. Or WCPT 820 on TuneIn, which is where I listen to it, or anywhere Progressive Talk and Free Speech TV is where it's at also. So let's go to the questions for this morning. I'm only going to answer a couple. Okay. Let me get my question thing here. Joan, is Iran planning to interfere with American company headquarters, or is there an activation of sleeper cells or what else? I'm a little disappointed in their hacking skills. However, I am very surprised that an Iranian-backed group did hack Kash Patel's private email. And we found out all sorts of crazy stuff about Kash Patel, like his trip to Cuba, smoking cigars. Sandra Steffen says, is this going to spiral into World War III? No, it's not. China, Russia, they're not getting involved in this. They're too busy making all the money. Donald Trump propaganda fella asked, who is giving away satellite images, Russia or China? And why is this accepted as if it was a normal thing? Russia is giving Iran geospatial intelligence. That's
Mhm.
satellite imagery. They can buy and get for free Chinese geospatial intelligence. I'm sure there are many, many groups all around Iran. These are the sort of things you would put in an internet cafe, right? You would have groups, and then you would have an IRGC fusion cell. That would be several of them. Like each regional command, each of the 31 commands would get a set of prospective targets and good intelligence on that.
China is securing physical and goods, and they're securing financial assets for Iran more than geo spatial information from my studies.
Denise Clover asked, if Trump walks away from this mess, what do you think happens to the Middle East? Do you think Israel and Iran would keep fighting? What do you think?
I think the GCC nations, that's their worst nightmare at the moment, and that they will be left in the middle to finish the war. Israel will have precise targets. Israel have openly stated they're not going to put their boots on the ground for the Iran war. They already are spread too thin. They have the north with the Lebanon. They have Gaza. They have other places in Israel that they're fighting, and they would only do air hits. Let's be also very clear. The number of Tomahawk missiles that we have shot would take years to replenish.
Yeah. 850, like a third of our whole inventory. We're finding as much as 10% of them are not exploding. That's a fault we really need to find. Remember, we fired those 3 into Nigeria. 2 of them did not explode. They have the whole unitary warheads. Okay, if if Trump abandons the Strait of Hormuz, what's to stop other countries from simply buying a multiplast? If Trump abandons the Strait of Hormuz tomorrow morning, right? U.S. forces stop their attacks on Iran, right? Within hours, all those tankers are going to go back to their normal transiting the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians don't have to charge multipass anymore. The Iranians are charging the multipass because America is attacking, and they want to make sure every ship that goes through is authorized. Everything will go back. I said this on radio when I was on Al Jazeera yesterday. Everything will go back to February 27th, the day before Trump attacked Iran. Let's be under no misgivings here. The United States attacked Iran, and the United States and Israel attacked Iran, not vice versa. So the Strait of Hormuz was going as business as usual for decades. We chose this. Uh, ba, 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 ba. Can carrier groups navigate? This is on what's going on with Brandy Dawn. Brandy Dawn, I sent you a subscription. I want to thank you for the good work that you're doing with youth in your city. This person is doing some really God's work. Okay. That's why she can answer questions now, because she's a poor college student. So she asked, can carrier groups navigate in the strait, or are they too large, especially big aircraft carriers? No, carriers go through all the time. During Desert Storm, we had three aircraft carriers simultaneously in the Gulf, and we had 3 other aircraft carriers in the Red Sea. Actually, we may have had 4 carriers in the Gulf, plus 3 amphibious aircraft carriers. So the Gulf is big. I mean, you can get through the Strait of Hormuz. Aircraft carriers are smaller than very large crude carriers in weight and length, believe it or not. Somebody says the Houthis have only 20,000 fighters. No, 350,000 men is what I understand the Houthis have. That's a big cult, man. I mean, that is a big.
And well, they're a religious group. They're a
Yeah.
religious group that has become a country. And since they have become a country, they have been able to send their troops to get trained by Russia, China, and other nations that they have aligned themselves with, and Iran is partnered with. Also, Iran, they have trained their soldiers in Iran. So
Yeah.
they have become a more sophisticated militia than you would expect at the moment. They also they took a whole ship a few years ago or last year with a helicopter. That was like unthinkable a few years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they were just being creative. That helicopter has since been destroyed by the Israelis, as a matter of fact. Nancy Byman says, Malcolm, you were a lot more positive on Al Jazeera yesterday than you were on the podcast. Was this a change? No. What I have minutes to speak on Al Jazeera, and all I really said on Al Jazeera was there's three places we can jump into, and Trump is making noise like he wants to end the war. All options are still on the table. Uh, Now, what I'm going to talk about tonight at 8 o'clock in the first hour, I'm very pessimistic about what's going to happen when these people, if we do land on Iranian shores. I'm going to tell you precisely how, not precisely that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps will get anything out of it. They already know how the Americans are going to come. But I'm going to give you some good ideas of how it's going to happen, unfold. It has to, because you can't parachute troops onto Qasem Island. You can't parachute troops onto Abu Musa, right? You're going to have SEALs swim up. You're going to have small boats. You're going to have landing craft. You're going to have shitload of helicopters. But I'm not less pessimistic than I'm not, I wasn't more positive on Al Jazeera because I was on Al Jazeera. I told them straight, I don't change my opinion for anybody. And that's another question. Uh, Michael Matson says, Ouija posted an article about damage and disruptions to U.S. bases in the Gulf. Worse than admitted. What do you think, Weege?
Yeah, there's
Right.
horrible damages to U.S. bases in the Gulf. They have not expected, and like when they built these bases, they were not expecting to be hit by the Iranians. So many of the airplane hangars and many of the important facilities that they were housed in were not concrete backed or were not even protected with protection layers. That's why you
That's
have
crazy.
many expensive airplanes damaged. In fact, the spy plane that you brought up the picture with, I can bet you money that it is out of service because the hangars are not protected.
Out in the open, not even concrete revetments around them. They could have
No,
put sandbag revetments around those. And that attitude is, we are untouchable. And the Iranians are like, no, we can touch you. Here, please look. So that's how it goes. Okay. Somebody, I was reminded that this mug was from Fortnum and Mason in London at the time of the coronation. Uh, Garden Girl 82 says, Malcolm, how do you maintain your objectivity and unbiased opinion? I have a very biased opinion. I am not as objective as I look. I am objective and unbiased in the sense that I only follow the intelligence. I am way too skilled in this game, way too savvy, way too culturally knowledgeable to ignore the things that I literally see the White House ignoring right now, right? They're racist, they're white supremacists, they have a contempt for everyone that they're fighting with and for. They don't really like the Saudis, they like the Saudi money, right? But I'm sure that they're using, horrible terms about them behind their back whenever they get crossed. And now they're like, have the nerve to start this war, lose trillions of dollars. And it's like, now go pay us for doing this. Really, pay us for doing
I'm
this. That's
talking. I'm
interesting.
talking to my Saudi insiders in the royal palace, and so and the royal family and Mohammed bin Salman are quite pissed off. Like, just to put it bluntly, they're very pissed off how Trump humiliated him on national television in front of the world. They're quite
Hmm.
pissed off that Trump is asking them to pay for a war that they did not get a head start on. They're quite pissed off that Trump might pull out of the war and leave them hanging. They have multiple reasons to be upset with the Americans, and this may hinder the future of Saudi American relations forever.
Yeah. Okay, and last question. Wajia, do you have family in the war zone? That's from Susan Malmberg.
Unfortunately,
Or
yes.
Stushi Malberg. You do?
Yes.
Yeah, in the Riyadh area?
All over Riyadh, Jeddah, Khobar. I have some in Qatar. I have other family members in
Khobar.
UAE.
Wow. Up in Khobar? I've been there.
Yeah, all over, all over. Even in
Yeah, that
Qatar.
place can get it. That's on
Yeah.
the coast. Okay. That's it for questions for today. Okay, I'm going to step out of here because I have to do radio as satellite radio. but I will send out the alert for tonight's taco and tactics, paid subscribers only. Join up, $7. Oh, I found out something interesting. We're like the cheapest paid subscriber on Substack.
Mm-hmm.
$7 a month, $70 a year.
$5 for me and $35 a year.
You're less. Yeah, but you're on mine all time. But I heard most of them are like 20, $25 a month. I'm like, why? This, by the way, is why I have a lot of time off to look up things. So, um, 8 o'clock tonight. Be prepared for this to come into your inbox shortly. That's Taco and Tactics. How will we either invade Iran or
Yeah.
run away? That's what it's going to
Yeah.
be. We're going to invade Iran or we're going home. One of the two options. I don't think there's an in between. If there is one, we're going to watch Trump say it and be very surprised. And I can read all of your jokes. By the way, if you have tacos, I will be ordering tacos for myself from our favorite Mexican restaurant because there ain't no way I'm going through this without tacos and margaritas. I'm going to have margaritas going here tonight. So get your margarita glasses out. Wajeeh, I don't know if you drink. It's because haram,
No, I'm
haram,
an ex-Muslim,
mashar,
so I like to do haram stuff.
la sharab alcohol. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
لا لا
Okay,
يشرب الكحول.
don't drink alcohol. Okay, okay, guys. See you all tonight or tomorrow. Oh, by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, come subscribe to Substack, malcolmnance.substack.com, which means you're watching this later on. Feel free to subscribe to Substack. YouTube also. We have 167,000 followers, trying to get to 200,000. And on Substack, I am trying to get to 100,000. Please press that little rondelle at the top before we sign off that says Black Man Spy. Subscribe to Wajeeh Lion and myself. All right. Thank you, everybody. See you tonight for Tacos and Tactics. Bye bye.
Have a good one. See you soon.